Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays.
Yeah, okay, so I've seen places that I haven't seen for years, but it's like the same spots on the golf
He's
course.
been there all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know the first one I knew.
You guys want to turn on your microphones now?
Before we start, I have a prayer request I want to share.
We're live. Should I mute? Is this personal?
They didn't say, I don't know.
Okay.
So, Stephanie got a hold of me this evening, and they're not going to be here tonight. Scott's father is getting out of the hospital in Boise and going straight to hospice care.
Oh.
So, his name is Murray, and they wanted us to pray for him, and the family, obviously. So, obviously said we would. So, we can do that now or later, what's best for you, Terry.
We're live right now.
Now,
So,
let's wait till the end then.
okay.
I just don't want to forget, so I thought I'd make sure. That's why they're not. And they wanted to apologize to you too. They didn't know. This is-
Are your microphones on?
Test, 1, 2.
Okay. Looks good.
Mine is.
Okay, looks good. So, I don't know if you're going to open with a prayer, Pastor?
Yes. Lord, we thank you for Kenny and Kyna, and we pray that you just bless them as they share with us about your holy land. And we're just very grateful for this. We pray that you just anoint this time by the power of the Holy Spirit, that it would be meaningful to us, that we could see places that we have studied in the Bible, and hear the narrative that they want to share with us after being there just not too long ago. So Lord, we thank you so very much for their willingness and to do this for us. And I pray that you just give us ears to hear and hearts to just receive. We thank you, Lord. Bless our time together. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It's great to be back again. There's some very exciting places to talk about tonight. I'm going to open reading a little of the gospel here. And we're going to go right into Tiberias, where we left off last
Are you sure
week.
you're on?
I'm locked out.
It's on your
You're locked out? No.
belt.
Guys.
Is it green?
That's good.
Okay, we read a little scripture, and then I'll work right into these slides. Tiberias is one of my favorite places. It's taken me a while to think about it, but redemption, restoration. For me, it goes right along with salvation, but I think it's a great place. Think about it a lot, and so we're going to start with the description here, and then I'll go through the slides. Jesus appears to 7 disciples. It's in John chapter 21. Later, Jesus appeared again to the disciples behind the Sea of Galilee, or beside the Sea of Galilee, the Tiberias. This is how it happened. Several of the disciples were there. Simon Peter, Thomas nicknamed the twin, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples. Simon Peter said, "I'm going fishing." "We'll come too," they all said. So they went out in the boat, but they caught nothing all night. We've heard that story before. At dawn, the disciples saw Jesus standing on the beach, but they couldn't see who he was. He called out, "Friends, have you caught any fish?" "No," they replied. Then he said, "Throw out your net on the right side of the boat, and you'll get plenty of fish." We've heard that one before too, the right side of the boat. So they did, and they couldn't draw in the net because there were so many fish in it. Then the disciple who Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his tunic, for he had stripped for work, and the loaded net, and jumped into the water, and he swam ashore. The others stayed with the boat and pulled the loaded net to the shore, for they were only out about 300 feet. So I'm going to stop right there. There's much more to chapter 21, but it gives you a picture here. And now we got the gate going into Tiberias, and we continue on. This is I might as well, before I forget to tell you, this is Tiberias. This is a church that was built. Helena, the Emperor Constantine's mother, who was converted to Christianity, and then she in turn converted her son, the emperor. It changed a lot throughout the whole entire world. Let's face it, it was huge. She decided at the end of the 2nd century, going into the 3rd century, that she she prayed, and what I understand is she felt that it was her job to go back to the Holy Lands and find all these places that Jesus Christ had been, significant historical places that she had heard about. And so her son said, "Well, you're not going to go unless you take the 10th Roman Legion with you." So she did. And she took architects and builders, because the Romans were good at it, and she took them along with her, and away she went to find these places. And by now, it was just into the 3rd century. So this is Tiberias, and this, from what I understand, is one of the churches that were built in the 3rd century. There are many more all around the Holy Lands that she found these places through her investigative techniques, questioned people. Of course, you got to figure, when it's only been a couple 100 years since Christ walked those roads, there were a lot of people that had stories, and they knew about where these events happened. And that was the important part she felt, is she needed to find those places and save them for future generations. So this is what the church looks like, and it was a very special place. Picture of it there. Very quiet place that morning. Little place here is where we were able to have a message by Dr. Solomon. There you see a picture, well, it was up, a man walking. He was our guard, IDF soldier, 22 years old, in his civvies, but heavily armed. And he protected us the whole time we were in Israel, because keep in mind they're at war. So he went with us, stayed in the hotel with us, and was guarding us, making sure we stayed out of harm's way. Some pictures, statue there looking at the Sea of Galilee or Sea of Tiberias, either one. Just some beautiful photos out on the beach, and we all went out there. Some of my pictures are covered. This one, this is a monk. He's talking to our guide Ezra. He lives there on that site, and he cares for it, protects it, keeps it in good order. You know, the church and the whole area that's Tiberias. Very special place, I thought. And as you can see, just the different pictures and statues that are along the beach. Okay, so Dr. Solomon said he's made the tour many times in the Middle East. And now I realized what he was saying. He wanted us to take a picture of this. This is outside the church. I'm going to read it to you. It may be tough to see it with the shadows on it. But it does say a lot about why you would go on a trip like this. It's not about history. it's about the word today and into the future. And it says, at thy word I will let down the net. Luke 5:5. And then this paragraph afterwards is one of Dr. Solomon's favorite, and I see it now, and it is mine as well. The deeds and miracles of Jesus are not actions of the past. Jesus is waiting for those who are still prepared to take risks at his word because they trust his power utterly. Powerful, especially being there, a place of restoration where the Apostle Peter was quite in despair and quite lost, and he just decided, well, it's time, maybe we go back to commercial fishing, make a living. And the other disciples followed him, and they went out. But Jesus Christ didn't let that be the end.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Not the spiritual end.
Yeah.
But in view of the fact that that's the actual place, physically, geographically, that's where Jesus had been, did you sense him there
Absolutely.
in any more of a profound way than you do, say, here in our church or anywhere else?
Good question. I mean, for me, Jesus Christ is everywhere, every day for me. But on that trip, that morning, we sat in a big circle, and we prayed, and we heard a message about that place. And it was such a beautiful day, the wind blowing off the sea. And to know what happened there, it is very, very spiritual. Kyna? What do
I
you
think
say?
it was very encouraging for our group. We didn't know each other. I mean, we were from all over the United States. And, Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and here he's being restored, being restored, being restored. And it just was very overwhelming that you're standing in these black pebbles. The shore is not going to change a whole lot. And around this rock is built this church. You peer in, and there's this great big rock where they would have cooked fish.
And that's what it is.
And the stories would have perpetuated in time. And so when Helena got there, she leaves 200-300 soldiers, built a church there. And so that's what they did, all the way through Israel. And it's just, when you walk in a Confederate cemetery or a battleground in our country, you kind of feel the reverence.
Yeah.
And that's what you're feeling in a different way there. Because we think old is 200 years or 250. And now we're talking, 2,000 years. And it's just different. It's just a little bit different.
Is that a Greek Orthodox church?
This, in my understanding, what is a Greek Orthodox? Some of them are Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox. Some of the sites, Protestants, churches out of England are caring for those sites. I mean, they've been kind of divvied up so that, because it costs a lot of money to maintain them. But they do a wonderful job keeping them in such good shape for that long. So this. Not sure what's up with that.
And this was one of the bigger churches that we saw.
So our tour group, you got to see them, that's us. A lot of memories from that group of people. Very special group. We really enjoyed them. And I think any group you go there with, you'd feel the same way. Because this is so spiritual over the time you're there. Yeah. So I'm going to go right to that. That's what you look at when you look into the church, okay? And this church was built in my understanding, 3rd century. around the rock that the people say was used at that time, not only by Jesus and the disciples, but it was a rock that apparently, routinely, people would have fires on along the beach. This is a fishing village, and so they would cook their fish and other meals there. So kind of a look at the rock. Go on a few, there's another picture of it, there, is up close. Look at the blocks of rock in walls. Just the architecture, just amazing. It's so thick, the walls are so thick that that building could stay there that many years. We'll go along here, and there's the Pope. The Pope, Pope Saint, that was St. Paul II. He came there to that little church, I guess, in 2000, visited him. So we'll continue on. I would, Capernaum, yeah, I like Capernaum too, but I have a special place for Tiberias, the spiritual, because of what the story of that restoration and how important that was for Christianity to be spread. I mean, it's incredible to me. It had to start, well, it started at the very beginning up there at Tiberias. Jesus had to come back and give it a little more of a push. It's a great story. So we'll go to Capernaum now. You know, Pastor talked about his experience there, an incredible place, the town of Jesus. My understanding is that one time it was completely covered with sand before the archaeologists went in. The church was there, but all the town itself was completely covered up. They went there and uncovered it. You'll see what it looks like. The town of Jesus. He spent a lot of his life and his mission returning to this town because, of course, Peter's family was from there, and that's where they based their ministry out of. And some of the pictures here, we can't really see what it says, but you could go there and spend a day or two. I mean, a lot of things to read, just a wealth of interesting things to look at that they dug up. You see all these columns, and what they did is they dug them up and they put them on these risers so that you can walk down and look at the Hebrew writings and the Byzantine and all the different writings are on these rocks. So you can see some of what they did is they uncovered the foundations all through here. And as the pastor said last week, the Catholic Church, in the area they believe where Peter's house was, I mean, it's not that big of an area, from the sea to where Peter's house was and then to the synagogue. That particular area, they decided to protect it, so they built this big dome structure over the top of it to keep it out of the sun, and it's a conference center. And so you can come and look underneath it, and these are the places that they believe that Peter's home was. And of course, there was a pretty good sized family lived there. You can go along, see a cistern and different rooms. And then my favorite is when we look at the synagogue itself. Now, the synagogue, I would never imagine, I thought that Capernaum was probably a much larger city. And you know, that's all you know is what you read in the Bible, and you watch movies where they made a movie. But when you look at the distance from the synagogue to the sea, it's not that great. I mean, what, a couple hundred yards at the most. And all these people lived in very tight quarters around their synagogue. So the synagogue was destroyed by an earthquake in 749 AD, so about the 7th century. And it was rebuilt a couple different times. But the interesting part about it is when they looked at it, in the late 4th century AD, the white synagogue, so all the white rock and blocks above were built on the remains of the synagogue of Jesus. So where Jesus taught, they just built the synagogue on that same foundation. And that foundation, they claim, is this dark rock at the bottom. It was the original synagogue that Jesus spoke in, preached in, taught. Also, miracles were performed there at that synagogue. In Capernaum, of course, you can refer to the Bible for that. Very interesting just to look at that rock, look at that synagogue, walk inside of it, and just look at it. It was, and the disciples and Jesus spent a lot of time there. That was their base of operations. And it's still there. In those columns with all the writing on them. I mean, like I say, our pastor that we had there at the time, he could read a lot of that, so he kind of translated it for us, Hebrew and whatever. You could spend a lot of time there. The history is so rich. I'm going to go on. You can see on the column, see the writing is still there. So much to look at. So fascinating. What a spiritual place. Look at this. Again, we talk about the age of it. Look at the age of the rock. That it's still there after earthquakes. Granted, there's no roof on the synagogue, but it's still there, and it's been uncovered. And then you look around the outer wall of Capernaum and all the foundations of all the buildings that were there at one time. Just impressive. Look at that. It's incredible. And the outer wall, they kind of rebuilt it to protect it from damage. But a really special place to go to along the Sea of Galilee. I just, and there's a picture, I'm standing on the steps of the synagogue, and I'm looking out to the synagogue. I'm in line with the synagogue, looking out at the Sea of Galilee. And there, underneath that structure, it would be,
Is it not moving?
Oh, back, it's back.
yeah. There, she's got right there. Underneath that structure, you see that modern-looking structure is what would be Peter's, what they believe where Peter and his family lived. Right there, underneath it. And then beyond it, there's just a little space, and then you're right at the beach, right on the sea. What a beautiful place.
And the floor in that structure is plexiglass, so you can see right through it. To his house.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Fascinating.
It's great, just a great place. It brings the Bible alive. It did for me. And then since I've been back, I've been reading just because I can put the picture to it, and it just brings it out. It just brings it alive to me. Such a living experience. Okay, so that was that. Capernaum. It was a great day. But as you can see, look at all the architecture. Look at the star. And that star is the Star of Solomon. Right?
Solomon is the 5-pointed, Star of David is the 6-pointed.
All parts of that synagogue that were buried under sand. And now they brought it back to life. So and there we're looking underneath that structure where Peter's home was. Just a lot of architecture to look at. A lot of things to read. Could spend a lot of time there. I'm just going on here, Kenny. Okay, should be in. So, 5-pointed Star of Solomon.
Did it work, please?
Okay. There we go. See you go. And here is the next one. Do you have that one? Yeah. That's the statue of Peter. Okay. The fish down there, and I think it's bronze, but very, and that's looking out onto the Sea of Galilee. There's some pictures. We're just standing there in a little area right by the sea. Do you remember that? Yeah. Gorgeous. Okay. So you want me to get up to the boat? Okay, now, on this particular day, I'm just gonna gloss over, we went to kibbutz. And that's an Israeli community along the northern part of the Sea of Galilee. It ended up to be the farthest place we went to the north, because we were we had an attack that day. It was a rough day for the military, but they were sending missiles and drones over, and things were exploding, and we looked at the boat, and then we got on the bus and got south, out of the way, for our safety. Anyway, the boat, Kyna can talk about, tell them about the boat.
Okay, so very recently, there was these fishermen that tripped on a piece of something in the sand, and they started digging out the sand, and they realized it was a boat. And in fresh water, things aren't preserved real well. So this was in mud and sand, and so they were scooping it out with their hands, and to make a long story short, it was a 14-year process. Dow Chemical from the United States donated all the chemical to preserve this boat. They brought in a lady that specialized in preserving ancient boats, and followed her directions completely. And the wood is so fragile and so soaked with water that if they just dried it out, it would just crumble. So they had to saturate it. First they had to get it out, and that was kind of interesting because they dug out the top of it, and then they lined it with plastic and put polyurethane foam in it to keep it so it wouldn't collapse onto itself. And then they dug out underneath it. And then they lifted this whole mess with the foam underneath it and floated it on the sea to the shore, and they lifted it up and put it in this building, or actually in a tank first, in kind of like a swimming pool. And they went through a big process of taking the sand and everything out of the wood, and then having a chemical, a preservative kind of thing, and a wax to go back into the wood. And so what you see is what is left, and they've made it a metal structure to hold it, but they've put on a hologram on the wall there to show what it would have looked like in the first century. And they call this the Jesus boat. Now, whether
No, they're not claiming it
they're not
as the one
claiming
Jesus,
it.
but it's the same type of fishing boat on the Sea of Galilee that would have been used.
So this was one of my most expensive treasures from the Holy Land, and it is the account of the boat and the Sea of Galilee. And I was expecting it just to be, we did this and then we did that, and it's actually a spiritual journey for these people. So it's a very good book, and I'm sure it partially funds this museum, but it was pretty cool, yeah.
And what I think is so cool about it is it's in a Jewish kibbutz, okay? They built the building and they take care of it. Sure, tourists come to there, but they're Jewish. And, they're describing a boat similar to what Jesus and the disciples used. So it's so special. And they pulled some of the nails out of it. Of course, they analyzed them, first century nails, they believe.
12 different kinds of wood.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, goodness, really?
Very interesting.
Make reference to Jesus being Jewish. Do they make reference to the potential of that having been something that would have been used during the time of Jesus?
Yes. I tell you, there are a lot of completed Jews in Jerusalem. Jewish Christians, just like Von Solomon. It's incredible. I didn't realize that until I went there. Did you?
Well, I met a few, but I
More all the time.
Probably, yeah.
More all the time.
The term I heard there was Messianic Jew.
Messianic Jew.
See Jesus as the Messiah.
So, we will go on. I think you've gone through. Oh, I put some food up there.
Remember the food there.
I'll tell you what, Mediterranean diet, look at that food.
So good.
Oh, this was great. This
Never
was,
had hummus until I went there. First time
yes,
ever.
isn't it?
Oh,
This was a little restaurant in the Sea of Galilee. And look at that. Next slide. Oh, look at that. That's fish. I know. From the Sea of Galilee.
She would eat that. Not with the head there.
Head and everything. Anyway,
I work around the head.
yeah. Don't want to work in there. So,
Back in Jerusalem.
yeah, we're back in Jerusalem. I added these photos, Kyna, to show something we saw at night from our hotel room and how the Jewish community is so special to them. This is their demonstrations, demonstrating in support of the government in the United States doing something to get their hostages back. So we'd be up in the hotel and watch this stuff on the street at night. And it wasn't rioters like we were dealing with in the United States. These are people that are just chanting and singing and praying. I think Jewish and Christians wanting their loved ones home. They want them back.
So they went down the street, they blocked the intersection for maybe 10 minutes, and then they dispersed.
And that was a peaceful protest. So, I put this up on the day that we were up on the north end of the Sea of Galilee. This is the paper I pulled at the hotel. It wasn't a very active day, 11 wounded. There were a couple IDF, which shows IDF officers there that were killed that day. It was a tough time there in Israel. Anyway, now quickly shifting gears, we'll go back over to the south-facing wall of the Temple Mount. And some pictures, we got that, we're tuned in, there we go. So we were getting ready on this day, we're going back down to the Wailing Wall, specifically the Wailing Wall, spend some time there. And this, some of the people we saw while we were on our way in. The Western Wall, the Wailing Wall, they call it the Western Wall. There's some different pictures of it. Again, the Wailing Wall is an example of Herodian archaeology or architecture. King Herod the Great, he built that to keep the temple, the second temple, was putting a lot of pressure, trying to push the ground down, and he felt that he needed to re-support it. And so he built this massive wall. It worked, and it's the only thing left of the Jewish temple, the second temple, and it remains. So as we went down, there's a hand washing station, purification. Men go to the left, women go to the right. So Tina, you go over there, I went over here. And we went in and got a picture of the bridge. You saw that, that would be where we went up on the Temple Mount. I think what you're looking at here, you looked at that Jewish, he was an ultra Orthodox Jew, and I'll never forget him because I was on the edge right there, and he walked up to me and he thanked me. He could speak very good English. He thanked me personally for supporting his country during the wartime, and he was very genuine. He made eye contact, and it was he felt very compelled to let us know how he felt about Americans.
And he was passing out tracts.
And he passed out tracts to us, and he shook hands. Prayer tracts. Not trying to recruit us, but just,
I didn't think that'd be Christian.
no,
Christian track.
no. So, yes,
Can we go back one?
go back one.
When I was there, we went into that, to see that entrance in the corner of the
Yes.
church. Did you guys go in there?
We went up in there and just went just in a little bit and then come back out.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did.
Yeah,
It's interesting, though.
very, just a very special place. Okay, and then in there, there's a,
If you forget your Torah,
there it is.
there it is.
There are Torahs and books and references and prayer dedications, all kinds of things in those bookcases. Of course, couldn't read any of them, but very impressive. Here's an IDF soldier, and basically it's his little time off during the day, and he puts his white tunic on, and he came in there to pray. Very, I wouldn't say it's a quiet place, it's not, because the Jews up to the wall, they're praying out loud, so it's busy,
Some of them are rocking.
it's like that all day, every day. It's a very special place. Pictures of things growing out of that ancient wall. I got right up there, I wanted to touch it, look at all those, and I couldn't really get a picture that would really give you an idea, but on every one of those cracks, there's little pieces of paper in there.
So they still prayers in there?
Even, our president sent a little piece of paper, he put in, people all over the world do that. Just the, but it gives you an idea of how important, and we got a group picture there as well. Okay, so we're over here now. We're just gonna move south down that wall. That wall transitions to a different, the actual Temple Mount wall, and we are, I inserted back in here, we're on that south west corner. And this is where the second temple, when it was destroyed by the Romans just pushed it over the edge. And so you see some pictures there. All the archaeologists are there with their scaffolding, and they're in there just digging away every day. It's just impressive. So this is the southern part of the Temple Mount, and it's called an archaeology park, and we spent a little time there. It's got a green grass, but what it really has is it's got the beautiful gate, and we're going to get to that, show you what that looks like. This is where, if you were coming to the second temple, probably the first as well, you would come to the south end, and you would enter the beautiful gate, which was 3 different gates side by side, arches. And before you went up that steps, you go to a purification bath. Before you went into the temple, you needed to, and these baths, they have dug them up. And you can see the tubs and places, cisterns were there with water, and these worshipers would come there and clean themselves before they went in. So these are just pictures of that whole area. It had to be massive. Cisterns down in the ground. You can look down in there where the water was stored.
So Kenny,
Yes.
those are the 3 entrances. Now just down are where they bathe, right?
Yes.
Well, I was instructed that the possibility, because if you read Acts, you read about 3,000 people being baptized at one time.
Yes.
I wonder if that might not have been the place.
You know what?
Makes sense to me.
Yes.
And a possibility, because they're in the temple area, that apparently was.
And we talked about some of the references back to the Bible, things that happened on this end of the Temple Mount at the beautiful gate. Very, very possible, yes. It's a huge area. Different pictures. Now I'll get to, now when you look up, are we past that already?
Does everyone see the gates there where they're closed up?
Yep. We're gonna see it bigger. So the gate beautiful, are we there? Yep, there you go.
There you go.
So there's steps going up to it, and I'm gonna show you a rendering of it, but at one time that was open, And people would, my understanding, would stream in, they would go up the steps there and then in and up into the Jewish temple. And of course, Jewish holiday, you know, everybody came to Jerusalem. I mean, you can imagine how many people would come there. So now you can look up, you can just, it's so, the blocks, the rock, the ancient, how old this is. It's just incredible. I'm just saying that wall can withstand this many thousands of years and still be there. It's impressive. We're past that, okay. Got some good pictures of it.
That's where the path.
Okay. Well, you got to see a lot of it now. Okay,
Look like you're guarding the entrance there.
yeah. Okay, that's just another, I took some pictures of that area. I was fascinated by it. Anytime, and I've been watching the news since we got back, and they're finding all kinds of treasures in the news, and he talked about it, southwest corner of the wall.
I don't remember all of that.
Yeah,
Must not have been half
Just
when I was there.
probably not when you were there, so recent.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so cool to see what they're finding on a daily basis. And there are quite a few people there digging, it's amazing. Okay, we're gonna roll right along here. Now, in this tour, we are heading out of Jerusalem, we headed over the mountains, and we're coming down to a place called Jericho. And as Kyna said, what a cool place. Jericho, what a story. And
Much bigger than I imagined.
yeah. And there I am. We stopped had lunch at a restaurant, and all of a sudden the sun is shining and it started raining, and I'm out in the rain. And I just had to go out. I mean, it was so cool. It don't rain there very often. Sun's shining and it's raining. Didn't rain for long, but it had a great smell. Anyway.
Must have been one cloud with an attitude or something.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Anyway, that was Jericho, and then from there, there, at the intersection of Jericho, you see a sign that says Jerusalem. You go back up over the mountains to Jerusalem, or you take and you go down towards the Dead Sea. And we're going to go down towards the Dead Sea here and look at some things in the time remaining. Kyna's popping along here. I am. Okay. Now, here is my most favorite. I mean, I've come to, I don't know where Kyna is, she'll tell you, but this is very special to me. Now we're down on the River Jordan, okay? I feel I was baptized before in a lake up in Wisconsin, but this was a rededication for me, and I wasn't gonna miss it. So this is the River Jordan. As you can see, it is not the size of the Nile. For some reason, I thought this was a massive
Not
river,
very big.
but it's not very big, it's very muddy,
Yeah.
and it is,
That's the border.
yeah, anyway. And that's the border on the other side, the Jordanian flag. And there we are, everybody kind of lined up. But the coolest part about this is we were all singing the whole time. Singing. What an experience. Oh, it was.
And Christians on the other side started singing with us.
Really?
Yes, Jordanian side. I don't know, they looked Jordanian to me, but they started singing with us. Pretty soon, everybody's singing. They're looking across the river at us, and yeah. And we wore our shirts. We didn't buy a lot of souvenirs, but we bought a shirt. It was a very special time that day, and something we wanted to remember. Now, we go up to this picture here. Okay. Where were you? Right there. There. I'll just introduce you to Raz. he had a very long Jewish name, but Raz, 22-year-old IDF soldier. And he was Jewish. Coolest thing about Raz is in the days we were with him and talked to him, all of us, we saw a change in Raz. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he couldn't help, and he told me, he says, I just, something is changing in me, I don't know. It was Jewish, and he's with a bunch of Christians.
That would probably do it.
That would do it. Anyway, I first met him and talked to him in the Garden of Gethsemane. And we bonded because I was military and found out Kyna was military and he had questions and I had questions for him, but what experience.
Looks like he's armed, is he armed?
Yes,
He's heavily armed.
He's heavily armed. He also has a backpack. You don't see in the picture, he has a submachine gun in the backpack. And he kept a low profile, but he was very capable of defending us if we needed him. But I think the most important part of it is his transformation. Christ was definitely working with him. And you know what? He came up to us here after we were rededicated and said, "Can I get a picture with you too?" And I said, "Sure." So we got somebody to take a picture. You see these special relationships you make? And when I left, he wanted pictures sent to him. He gave me his address, his phone number, and wanted to keep in touch. He's coming up to the end of his tour, his 2-year obligation with the IDF, but he really thinks highly of the United States, and I think he thinks very highly now of Jesus Christ, which is what we were kind of focused on. Anyway, special time, a special day. And I'm gonna roll right along. We're about 15 minutes left. Where are you there? Okay, we're out of it. All right. Now we're on the road and we're headed down to the Dead Sea in that region.
We went back to Jerusalem.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We're back to Jerusalem. Here's our hotel room, or our hotel. I just wanted to show you that and show you this group of people who we got to know. And you know, when you travel with a group of people and you pray with this group and you talk to this group, you get to know them. It's a special relationship, I will tell you, forever. There were doctors and surgeons and bricklayers, and I talked to, occupation, we hardly ever talked about our occupations. Sometimes it would just come up in conversation, but there was a wide spectrum. These people were from everywhere, from California, Hawaii, Connecticut, all over the country. Just a fascinating group of people. I really enjoyed getting to know.
So, from this picture forward, how many more days were you there, the time this picture was taken, you think?
From the time this picture was taken, probably another week.
Did you ever take your shirt off?
Oh, yeah. This, good question. This was the same day I was in
Oh,
there.
okay.
That's why it's in that chronicle.
You're wearing it now, so.
Yeah, good
It's
question.
been washed.
It's been a while. Yeah.
We shouldn't wash it, it's in the Jordan River.
Oh,
We
man.
Keep it that way.
Anyway, here, okay, we're going right to Masada now.
I didn't even know what Masada was before I went there.
Yeah,
The history.
Masada is a military, normally military people, it's a special place. And it is for the Israelis. Masada is a very holy place for them and their identity as Jews and as a country of Israel. Masada is a big part of that. Sorry, I got so many different slides here. We went floating in the Dead Sea, but I could not include those pictures. There just wasn't enough time. Anyway, so Masada. So you come up on Masada, and before we got to Masada, we got to an area where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And in the bus, they said, right over there is the creek bed, dry creek bed, and there where the scrolls were found. Very, very close to Masada. But here in Masada, it gives you an idea. I've got some pictures of what it looks like around it. There isn't much green around it. It is out in the middle of of nowhere. And I will tell you that that's what you see from a distance. See that butte that sticks up? That is Masada. Now, Masada is an example of Herodian architecture. King Herod the Great, he was a little worried about,
He was paranoid.
and he needed to be paranoid because they got into the Jewish-Roman war, you know, and that's what he built it for. So he'd have a place to retreat from Jerusalem and come here and be able to sustain during any kind of uprising. So he built this fortress on top of Masada.
It's a standalone mountain, it's not connected to
All the way
the
around,
range.
all the way around.
all
Just
the way
comes
around.
right up out of the earth. And I'm telling you, it's a fortified, it's described as a fortified desert refuge built by Herod the Great during his rule. You can imagine how many slaves it took to build this. But it comes up out of the desert floor, and they got this walkway, they call it the snake path. And it is the original way you get up there. Now, we rode up in a tram. Although there are people out there hiking the snake path, but I think it would have tired us out. And you could take donkeys, horses up that. That's another way they got up there. Very impressive. Look at how far down. We're looking down from Masada. We're in the tram, and we're looking down. That's the Dead Sea. Looks pretty dead. So we're looking east to Jordan from our cable car, sending up to Masada. Snake Path Gate, there's a little gate, you can take that down. Of course, and that's what it looks like, just carved into the rock, the little path. So you get up on Masada, they've dug it up. A lot of it's no longer there. It was destroyed after the Jews had been basically in their 2-year siege.
It was 3.
3 years, total, almost 3. Just a group of Jews called Sicarii, led by Eleazar ben Yor, defended against the Roman 10th Legion under Lucius Flavius Silva. He was a general and of the 10th Legion, and he was pretty obsessed that he was going to get these Jews. It was during the Civil War. They had, all the Jews had been kicked out of Jerusalem, and the Jewish warriors were throughout Galilee and other places fighting the Romans. In this particular group, when things got real bad, about 800 to 1,900 Jews and their families went up on Masada, killed the Roman garrison up there, and took it over. And they sieged it. And here comes the 10th Roman Legion to try to drive them out of Masada. Well, the pictures here, so the pictures here showing what it looks like up on top. And there's a Roman bath up there, 9 different cisterns of water that would come off the mountains. When it rained up on the mountains behind Masada, the rain would come down through aqueducts and pressure and back up and fill these cisterns. Of course, when the Romans got there and put them under siege, they destroyed the aqueduct. But the cisterns were still full, and it sustained this group of almost 1,000 for 3 years. They still had water left in 3 years. That's how much water. These cisterns were huge. When you look down from Masada, down on the back side, you can still see where the 10th Roman Legion camped out. You can also see where all the slaves were kept, because they kept a couple thousand slaves there to try to build a road up to destroy the wall to get up on top. Anyway, there's so much to see there. We ran into a rabbi up there who works up there every day. He spoke to us. It was very impressive. And it was actually a building that the Jews had repurposed and made into their holy place of worship. And they, now the cistern, are we to that? This is the Roman bath. Yeah, the Romans believed if you're gonna be up there on the top of a rock, that you should have the necessities and beyond. So they had a Roman hot bath. It's all been dug up, very fascinating. Cisterns, lots of water, believe it or not.
So all of this was under dirt at one point, and then archaeologists
Yes.
started digging it up and finding it.
Yeah, and restored it.
That's interesting.
And it is a national park, very special. This rabbi that's up there, which we have a picture, there's the rabbi. A few more slides, Kyna. He is stationed there and he speaks to you. And that area where they're standing was their little place of worship while they were under siege. And he lives there and basically every day, and he maintains the history of it. And they describe it as a symbol of heroism, defines early Israeli national identity, trying to fight for their independence from the Romans. Do you know what happened to the 2.5 to 3 years the Romans worked to get up on top? They had catapults and they fought the Jewish warriors, and they built this, what they call these big towers. The Romans would push, and they battled back and forth trying to get up there, and then they got up there, and what did they find?
All committed suicide.
Yes, they all committed suicide.
Except the women, a couple women and a couple kids that
Yeah.
escaped and told their story to Josephus.
And Josephus put it in manuscripts that documented the siege. So it was enjoyable. Again, I think gives you the idea of the struggle after the time of Jesus Christ, you know, and what happened afterwards with the Jews. So there we're 26 after. Okay. And I think we're gonna end there. Now, Elliott, I can go ahead. Elliott is like the Las Vegas. It's all the way down on the southern tip. Did you go to Elliott? It's a southern tip. It is lights and hotels and,
Beautiful
Oh, yeah.
pools and nightlife and whatever.
I'm not sure I've even heard of it. Elliott?
Well,
Elliott.
the Orthodox Jews tolerate it.
Yeah.
And don't, and you won't find any of them here. This is where the Europeans go to holiday.
Kyna, I wonder, that's Jordan. I wonder if we could skip Petra. We just don't have time. Petra, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the treasury, all that. Moses, the reason you go to visit Petra in Jordan is because of, that's where Moses, and during their time, apparently wandering the desert after their freedom from Egypt, they spent some time down in Petra. So, the Nabateans of Petra. So we went there for a day. Okay, I just got a couple minutes here, but I want to show you. I'm going through it fast, sorry. I want to go to Egypt.
There.
Okay, go ahead, Kyna. We just got a few
Well,
minutes.
this is the,
St. Catherine's Monastery. And this is on the Sinai Peninsula, Mount Sinai. It's at the base of Mount Sinai, and this is what it looks like. Medieval looking, look at that. I mean, they let this little box down, you know, because it's so dangerous, not for us, but in the times, the Middle Ages, so the monks could get back up in the monastery.
that's the door.
That's the door.
Up high, so They made us a door down below,
Yeah.
That door wasn't there back then.
that's
No.
right.
is what you're saying.
Go ahead through real quick, because we're coming in an hour. But there's the Bedouins around there, with their camels. This is what the monastery looks like. There's back one. This is Mount Sinai. There's a cross up on top.
Can you see the cross,
Yeah.
Barry?
Yep. There's a mosque up there, and there's a Christian chapel up there as well. Okay, this is inside the monastery. We're looking, not everybody can go in here, but we did. Yeah, we were kind of blessed. This is what it looks like, very old. The monastery surrounds a well. Guess what well it is? Jacob's well.
Oh,
Monastery, there it is. Monastery was built to protect the well, the significance of it, where, and there's just a well, there's the well. You got a piece of plexiglass over it, you can look down in it. I really enjoy it. I have an opportunity to go inside. There's a monk. We did get to see one.
Cool.
That live there, yeah. They don't, typically, nobody gets to see him, but he popped out of one door and into another, and we got a picture of him, so. And just some more pictures, that's the well, just the inside of the monastery,
Burning bush.
Burning Bush.
I never got in there, that would be an amazing trip in of itself, I would think.
Now, there's very few bushes at the base of this mountain, or anywhere around. This bush right here, the monks take care of it, and have for centuries and centuries, I mean, thousands, I mean, the history here goes back, I mean, let's face it, back in, before Christ. This, they tried to graft it, to make it grow, so they could put it somewhere, they can't get it to graft. And it just lives, and they water it.
That is the bush?
Yeah, it has looked better in other years.
The monks believe it
dies
has.
down and comes back.
It is very old, and it dies down, then it comes back to life, and it's just a cycle. And they take care of it in that monastery. And there it is from different angles. It is a very interesting thing. Yeah, so wanted to show you that, and the rock that is everywhere there on Mount Sinai has all the fossils in it. Okay, that's very common rock there. They sell it to you, but it's everywhere. The whole mountain's made of it. It's fossilized rock. It's fascinating. Bedouins live there in tents around the mountain. They got their camels. They live in their tents. They could speak English. He'll show you a picture, and we're almost going to go up the mountain. We're not able to go to the top because of the war, but we're hiked it about halfway up, and then we rode some camels down because we needed to be at the border by 8 o'clock at night because they closed the border because of the war. But you can see us, Kyna's up on the camel, I'm getting up on it. We're coming back down the trail that goes to the top of Mount Sinai. And I have some videos, and these two Bedouins, they were fun to talk to.
That is not a father and son.
No,
They have the same color on their head because that's the tribe they belong to.
Kyna's camel was named,
Michael Jackson.
my camel's name was, they told me, Whiskey. I don't know, but they were fun to talk to. Anyway,
What's that?
That's a happy rock.
happy rock.
What's that?
Yeah. Keep going.
I thought you were gonna come up
We're
with some
almost
great
done.
story.
No, probably the great story was that,
Review.
well, that's a taxi. The boy that sold me the rock, the Egyptian government, they were under martial law while we were there, but they're educating the Bedouins. And so I asked the boy, when you're done with school, what are you gonna do? He says, sell rocks.
Great answer.
Kyna touched on it, I'll tell you, that this is not for the faint of heart if you tour this. Egypt is under martial law today, so. And every checkpoint we stopped at, we had machine guns pointed at the bus, tank barrels pointed at the bus, heavy armored, you know, guys sitting in the turrets staring at us. Yeah,
Sends a message.
it sends a message, and you're out on the Sinai Peninsula, which is very remote. Very
Yeah,
remote.
there's nothing in their desert. Our desert is full of sagebrush and other things. There's nothing there.
But it was a great experience, I enjoyed it, going here to Egypt. A lot of pictures, it's a very,
That's on the way back. This should be
Yep.
this should be very busy with tourists. They go camping and they go to the beach and that kind of thing. And it is all ghost town. Nothing there.
Egypt's in rough shape right now, economy wise.
We saw one little boat out there, and then we got to the
Yeah,
Israeli side and took a breath.
time to go back across the border, all the flags. So, back to Eliot, and then from Eliot, we flew back to Tel Aviv, and then from Tel Aviv, we returned home. And great tour. I don't know, Kyna, you got a favorite spot? What do you think?
My favorite spot? No, I don't have a favorite. Every day was favorite.
I say we all go there and get baptized, we did it there a lot.
There you go.
There you go.
So
You
we
get
can
another shirt.
So we can get the t-shirts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Tel Aviv Airport, last slide we had, we were getting ready to leave. You know, we only showed you a small portion of the slides that we have, but for me, I will say, right here, River Jordan, it was very special.
It looks special when you
I
come out of the
appreciate
water.
the shirt.
Yeah, I was, as you
I
can
think
see,
Tiberius.
I was so, I can't describe it when I come up out of the water, did you see that?
Yeah.
That was the singing. My head went out of the water, I could still hear everybody singing. And I came up, I was stoked. I was on fire. On fire for the Lord. I mean, that's all I can say.
Still seem to be a bit on fire for the Lord.
Yeah, this was a, this
This'll
was
do
an
it.
experience that, stays with you, I hope for the rest of my life. It will. It's a great experience and it was very special. You know, when I first looked at the cost of going over there, we're retired, and it was paying, you know, this is painful. But you know what? Once I got there, and now that I'm back, you know what? It was money
Well spent.
well spent. It was, you know what? Yeah, it's an investment for eternity, okay? And that's how special it was to me. It made my Bible, the Bible has come alive for me. And like Tiberius, it's not just history, but it's now, it's the future, it's alive, we are living it. And, you know, prophecy yet to be fulfilled. I don't know if I'll live as long to see all of it fulfilled, probably not. But you know what? It was, to see this, I might.
We're still talking about that this Sunday.
I think we're in the end times, and so did the people we met over there too. I mean,
Okay, Jim,
amen?
we're gonna put a sign up on the bulletin board for the next Israeli trip.
Anyway, thank you for spending time with us too, and I hope it brings your Bible, make it a little more special and bring it alive. I think it will. And Rodney and I are gonna get together coffee, and I'll give you, a first night.
We all buy the coffee?
All right, Rodney, the coffee, we'll do that, we'll make it up. Anyway, God bless you all, and if there are any questions, so we had to skip over some stuff, but we'll do the best we can, the time live.
I think
You know.
we got a pretty good gist of it.
Yeah, I think you did. And, I'm sure there'll be places that you might, if you go back over, you might be able to go to Bethlehem, Nazareth, other places.
Well, that was Bethlehem. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, going to Bethlehem?
Right now, during the war, it would be
Too far north.
Well,
Yeah.
it's taken over by the Muslims,
pretty much.
Oh, really?
and so is Galilee.
Yeah.
I mean,
Most of the Christians have been driven out.
Bethlehem, what's the one?
Yeah, Nazareth?
Nazareth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, which one, one of them's in the West Bank. Well, we're over there, West Bank, Nazareth, very dangerous. Everybody's very,
Yeah. Well.
and I think maybe it's calmed down now. We were gonna pray?
Yeah,